Guys, welcome into the show. My name is Tyler Kluver. I'm a former Division One athlete. I now run a fitness coaching business as well as a sports media brand that creates podcasts, sells merchandise, and creates other exclusive content. This show is a place for me to document my thoughts on fitness, health, nutrition, maybe some business or mindset stuff, as well as update anyone listening on my own competitive fitness endeavors and life events. I want everybody that comes and listens to this show to take something away that can make their life better, whether it's a diet or fitness tip or a way of thinking about things that motivates you to be better in your own life. Hopefully we can get that done, but regardless, I'm glad you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. We're back, baby. Walk on podcast. What? Walk on podcast? Oh my God. Snapped podcast. That's about where my mind is at right now as we step into this Monday recording of the Snapped podcast, which I talked about a rebrand of the fitness coaching stuff last week or 2 weeks ago, last couple weeks. How I'm going to turn that into the walk on health performance or walk on health coaching, whatever I want to turn that into. There might be a rebrand of the Snap podcast as well. I like the Snapped podcast. It's the name fit for a long time and it still fits, but it doesn't. I don't think at this point it helps me. I don't think it's an asset to the brand. And I like for anyone who's local to Iowa or, is in the Iowa podcasting consumerism space and listens to any of the Iowa Everywhere stuff. Chris Williams, who started that, who's a Cyclone guy, but he's put together the Iowa and Iowa State stuff and that whole brand. As part of that, he has his own podcast where he just brings on guests and talks to them, or talks about whatever he wants on there, similar to this. And it's just the CW pod. And I don't know why I couldn't just make this the TK pod. Yeah, it's just the TK pod. Give me some feedback on that. Let me know what you think. The TK podcast. Tempted to just make it the YTK podcast, which was my nickname from high school. But yeah, the TK pod just sounds so much more succinct, and TK puts my initials on it. It tells you that it's me, which is ultimately what this thing is it's very much so just my life. We'll see. I don't know. That's 3 minutes of just consideration and contemplation over doing things. Lots of things are happening and going on at this point in time, late November, which is why my mind is a little jumbled there to start the show because there's a lot going on. Monday is always a day for me to do outside of the house stuff. Sort of a weird day to do it. You'd think Monday you get back, you're like, okay, let's get hammering out some work. Let's get as much work stuff done as we can. For me, I go to the grocery store, I run errands. I do as many things as I need to set up the week for the homestead, for the family, for the house. So I was out doing that, picking up a prescription, all the things, adult things. And on top of that, then you come back, you still have the work stuff. Got to record this. I've got about 7 other things on my list that I need to do. I'm thinking about the rebrand of the fitness business. I'm thinking about the rebrand of the podcast. I'm thinking about the off-season content schedule for the Washed Up Walk-Ons and what I want that to look like. I'm thinking about the challenge that I want to run on the fitness side of things for the New Year's, crowd, everyone who wants to, kickstart their health and fitness. More to come on that on this podcast in the coming weeks. I'm thinking about the podcast that we have to record this week. Lots and lots and lots of things. So my mind is all over the place, and that's why we misspoke. On today's show, A topic that I've probably mentioned or talked about, it comes up a lot, and I think it's m mm, it's interesting because this principle is becoming more and more relevant to my personal fitness, and I think that is inevitable. This sucks to say, and I hate it. It's inevitable with age, but it just is. As much as I'd like to run away from that and try and be a tough guy, be like, "Yeah, I'm 30, but I'm not getting old." It's just not true. It's not true. When I was 24, I was 6 years younger than I am right now. And while fitness-wise, I'm actually way fitter than I was at 24, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything works the same way or on the same time frame, right? And that's relevant to the topic at which I'm getting to, that is quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. And there's times for both. And this today is specifically talking about workout, my personal workouts that I go through, the training that I put myself through. But I think quality over quantity applies in a lot of areas in life. Whether it be because it's just what feels best for me or because I'm like subconsciously noticing that, well, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand that this is what works best for my body and my schedule. Um, or because I know consciously and have followed several athletes over the past few years and heard them say that this principle is what has been best for them, or whatever reason, my own training day to day has adopted more of a quality over quantity look to it. There is a female CrossFit Games competitor who is also a mom who is just a couple years older than me. Her name is Ariel Lowen. She is a games athlete in her 30s against some of the best women in the world who have no kids, no job. It is their life to train and just be the best. And she competes with them on a yearly basis over the past 5 years. Podiumed, I think now multiple times at the games. Fittest woman in America in 2023. She's elite. She's really, really fucking good at CrossFit, the thing that I'm trying to be good at. She trains in the off season 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 5 or 6 days a week. In the in season, leading up to the most important parts when she wants to really dial it in, I think she said she adds in like 45 minutes at night. So she's still under 3 hours a day. She's a top 10 CrossFit Games female in the world. Okay. What can I take away from that? Well, in the past, I've had times during these last 3 plus years where I have trained at 2.5 to 3 hours a day, and I ain't even a pro, right? And the reason you can look at that two different ways. You can look at it as, oh, you're not a pro. You need to be training more to get to that level if you ever want to get there. Or the smart way to look at it, the realistic way to look at that is the pros who have built their body and are the fittest and the most fortified to handle something like training 3, 4 hours a day. They're the ones that should be doing that. Everybody else should be finding what works best to move the needle for them. And what happens is when you don't have a professional, i.e., this guy, not a professional, as smart as I am and is good at squeezing potential and fitness out of all the time that I put in, you get stuck in the little trap of more is better. And that's not always the case. There's different parts and avenues within the fitness realm and the CrossFit space where more is better. You need more. A lot of that aerobic base building, that easy zone 2 stuff, that applies. A lot of the other stuff, quality And a lot of times in CrossFit, quality means intensity, not all the time, over quantity. And so that's what today's takeaway is. If you're the average person that's trying to lose weight, or you're the average person that's trying to, hey, I want to get on a little split and put on some muscle and look a little bit more toned. Don't assume or get yourself into a spot where you're spending an hour to 60 to 90 minutes in the gym every day. You don't need it. You don't need it. If you're just the average person, and this is what the New Year's program is actually going to be about, I'm going to call it the New Year's 90. Spoiler alert. Oh, there's a yawn. And the name New Year's 90 stems from the fact that if you're the average Joe, you pluck a person off the street, they're most likely going to fit into this category of person. They want to lose a few pounds. And really what they mean when they say they want to lose a few pounds is they'd really just like to look a little bit better in the mirror. And the execution of that is they want to flip their body comp around. And in many situations, they do want to or need to lose a couple pounds. Some people don't even need to lose weight. They just need to flip their body comp. At 200 pounds, instead of being 50 pounds of fat, 25% body fat, they need to be 35 or 40% or 35 or 40 pounds of fat. Bring that down to 20, 15, you know, to elicit those responses. Simple body weight loss, turning around the body composition a little bit. Along with those is feeling better. Not a lot of people probably lead with that goal, but feeling better. You will feel better if you do those things. You need 3 days, uh, 30 minutes a day. 3 days a week, 30 minutes a day of quality, progressive, structured exercise with intensity. Outside of that, go for a walk. Ideally, what this looks like to me, what I think this looks like perfectly, is you pick your 3 exercise days. Let's say you choose Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You want to get it done during the week. You want your weekends to be free of having to bury a workout, right? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're going to wake up in the morning, 30 minutes. Now, that probably doesn't include a stretch, a little warm up. So add 5 or 10 to that. Let's call it 40. But 30 minutes of structured exercise. In the morning, you're going to hit your workout. You're going to be done. On Tuesday, Thursday, and the weekend days, Saturday and Sunday, those other 4 days, you're going to get in 30 plus minutes of walking, however you want to structure it. And I understand now you're like, okay, but now you've added walking into the program. Yeah, there's a little bit of semantics there with the naming of it and 90 minutes. It's 90 minutes of structured exercise a week. You're going to need to do stuff on the other days. I, at this point, if you're a person who thinks that that you should go through life, you should wake up on a given day and not be active somehow. You shouldn't move your body. I can't help you. Okay. So, yes, those are rest days. Those are non-exercise days. You still need to make your minimum movement 30 plus minutes of walking a day. You could take a 30 plus minute walk, or you could do 10 minutes after each meal. You could do 2 15-minute walks to start and end the day or whenever. 30 minutes of walking on the non-exercise days. And then those 3 days of 30 minutes a week where you put the hammer down. And that's going to be on a variety of things. It's going to be on lifting. It's going to be on some cardio stuff, different structures of workouts, intervals, sets, AMRAPs, low rep range, higher rep range, quality over quantity. I'm not only learning as a coach that works best for people, and not to mention the fact that structure is so much easier schedule-wise, mental focus-wise. You give somebody a program that's 5 or 6 days a week and they're in the gym for an hour, that physical exertion and having to manage that schedule, having to go all day at work and then head to the gym for an hour or start your day with an hour and head to the office 5 days a week, that starts to wear down on your mental capacity to stay in that routine. 3 days, 30 minutes a 3 3 days a week, 30 minutes. That's pretty doable. That doesn't start to drag people along. So I'm realizing it coaching and I'm realizing it as an athlete myself, even in a sport that where you want to if you want to be elite, you have to do a lot of training. And that's what I got. I'm starting to split my days into 2 sessions. Again, I've talked about over really the past 4 to 6 weeks of how I've been back into doubles training. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday through Thursday, I'm doing double days. Friday is usually one longer session at the gym, and then Saturday is a longer session at home. Um, Soon here in December, we'll pick up Sundays as a mandatory seventh day where I'm doing just zone 2 on Sundays as well. Um, on those double days, I'm in and out in less than 75 minutes. Like, it's a double workout day, but total time in the gym is, like, very close to 2 hours still. And I'm just getting a lot done. You can get a lot done in that time frame, and you can put out a higher effort on what you are doing. Intensity slash or quality over quantity. That's what we're talking about today. I want to hit you with a couple other things quick. Over the weekend, my wife's birthday was a week ago today, actually. Yes. Um, so over the weekend, we went down to Nebraska and went to probably the most sought after ticket in all of college volleyball this year, outside of what will be probably like the national semifinals and in the national championship, and that is the Wisconsin Badgers at the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Um, on the other show that I do with the boys on the Iowa Football Podcast, I get shit on all the time because I'm a closet Nebraska fan. That's actually not true. I wouldn't even call myself a Nebraska volleyball fan. I'm a fan of high level um, competition in whatever it is. I'll watch fucking Magnus Carlsen play chess against somebody. I just love people who are the best at what they do, and Nebraska volleyball happens to be that. My proximity to them and their team and their players is more than most of even the other good college volleyball teams because my wife is a fan of them. So, and my wife's family is a fan of them. And they're close. They're 2 hours away, 3 hours away. So, took her to that game for her birthday. Top 5 matchup, top 7 matchup. I don't know. Nebraska's number 2, Wisconsin's number 5 or 6 or 7 or something. And it's a huge rivalry game. And it is some of the highest level volleyball that there is. Uh, on top of that, Nebraska has a coach on their staff, an assistant coach. Her name is Jordan Larson, um, who is an Olympian volleyball player. I believe she's been in the last 3 or 4 Olympic teams for USA women's volleyball. She is a Nebraska alum. And if you really want to dive deep on her, you can. But basically, she is like for Nebraska and for volleyball, she's one of those chosen few. I mean, she's a goddamn Olympian. There are things about Olympians that are just different. Whether and I've got the opportunity to see and be around a couple Olympians in my life. I've met and been around and gotten to converse with Shawn Johnson a little bit. She's from Iowa. Um, Other people, a couple track runners, Brittany Brown, the Hawkeye who went to the Olympics. She gets second in the Olympics? I think she got second in the 200 behind the other American. Silver medal. She was there at Iowa during my time. When you're around these people, oftentimes there is a clear, and it's why they're at the Olympics. They are the peak of performance. It is clear why they are, or it makes sense why they are the ones at the Olympics every 4 years. And whether it be a physical thing or the way they carry themselves or the way that they uh, present themselves around their team, leadership quality, all these different things. Jordan Larson is an extreme example of this. Um, Coincidentally, we have a hookup. So on the tickets for this past weekend at the game, we are sitting literally row one, right behind the Nebraska bench. I can take one step forward, lean, and put my arm out and touch any of the players or coaches. We can hear the conversations, the timeout, the huddles, all that. Pretty cool. And in the chaos that is the Nebraska volleyball game, in the home environment, they rock that place with like 10,000 fans deep, sold out for like 317 games plus. It is a crazy environment. For those that are wondering what that looks or feels like, it feels like it is the Kinnick Stadium equivalent in volleyball. Like, it's sold out, it's loud, it's bumping. Your heart rate is up, even as a fan. And Jordan Larson, this assistant coach, she's old now. I think she's 35, 37 years old. Like, she's done. This past Olympics in Paris was her last time around. In timeouts or when she would be giving coaching tips during the game, whatever was happening, the way that she moved, the way that she stood in place and how still she was in the moment. When the music was loud or the game was in an intense moment, everybody else, even just a little bit, there's just a little sway, there's some sort of fidgeting. You're trying to, you're trying to manage the energy and the adrenaline of the moment. Everyone there, she is as still as a fucking. I don't even know what to like. She's like a brick, a building, just standing there, no movement, and you can tell if you've been a competitor or somebody who plays ball or, like, has ever competed at anything at a high level when you're in the presence of somebody who's great. I think it's a little bit of what Tom Brady has. Like, I get the same vibe of Tom Brady when I see him on TV. Jordan Larson, when you're in her presence also, by the way, she's like a 6'4", like, muscular built just unit of a woman, athletic beast. 37 years old, but looks like a college athlete. And you just know. I was watching the game, but I was almost watching her just as much because it was so fun to know as a highly competitive person myself. Like, this is what fucking peak competitor looks like. There's been articles written on her, a really, really good one over the summer when she was, when it was relevant and they were about to go to the Olympics and stuff. How a lot of times in life she's been an outcast and she's just been sort of a loner. And it fucking made all the sense in the world the other day when I was in the presence of her 5 feet away. She's built different. She isn't built like the rest of us. I wish I was built like that. A lot of people do. I think a lot of people, everybody wants to be Jordan or be Brady. Jordan Larson is like the Michael Jordan of women's volleyball, the Tom Brady of women's volleyball. I think she's been married and divorced a couple times. Can't seem to hold a relationship quite well. Like, she's talked about never having friends when she was growing up. Um, Feeling outcast when she was at the University of Nebraska as a student, Division I athlete. And you could just tell this human is made for other things. And in the moment of craziness and loud noises, my watch is going off, giving me, "Hey, don't be in this environment too long. It's very loud." The fucking band, the student section, that place is rocking. Women's mecca of college volleyball. She stands there in the chaos and is just still. Like a glassy water, like the pond on a nice chill morning. She's just dead still. And you can tell that she's built for that. That is where she thrives. When the noise and the outside raucous rises, it levels her out, and that is her environment. And it was fucking cool to see. It was really cool to see. Um, so That was my experience over the weekend. Fun to go watch that volleyball game. Fun to see not only the college volleyball players, Nebraska, who is they dominated Wisconsin. It was they fucking just beat down. Um, they're probably going to be national champions this year. I would think they're the favorites. But to see Jordan Larson and a couple other high level now coaches who were players walking around is it's just always fun. Um, the last thing on today's podcast is, we talked about how we are going to Miami. We are going to South Carolina. Two big CrossFit off-season competitions. First ones of my career where I'm going to actually travel to out of state to competitions that I had to qualify for. And what that means at Wadapalooza is I'm going to have to swim. Wadapalooza's big thing is there's always a swimming event. They hold it on the beach, on the water. And usually the stage slash competition area is set so that you can, there's always like this ramp or dock that you like end up jumping off of. I'm going to have to learn how to swim and it's going to be in the fucking ocean. So your boy, if you live in the area once or twice a week for the next 2-3 months, come find your boy at the YMCA because I'm going to be swimming laps. I don't know how to swim. I know how to swim, like survival swim, just fine. I do not know how to swim for time, for speed in a sports sense, even a little bit. I do one swimming workout a year, and that's when we go on vacation to the lake in the summer. So, gonna have to get a Y membership for a couple months here. We'll keep you updated on that stuff. Quality over quantity. Intensity over senseless volume. Think about that. Go be a savage. Excuses aren't valid. We'll talk to you next week. See you then.